our goal right now is to create like a virtual world, right? Of some your own little virtual world that you can walk around, add like 3D objects, and do things. Invite your friends over, etc. Right? Show people. So the way that this is done is through something called Aframe uh, VR, basically. It's a JavaScript framework. You don't have to know what it is, but point is, using code, we can build something like this, right? And the code that looks like that, the way is basically something like this, right? So even if you don't really necessarily know what this is going on, but I'm just gonna read it over basically, right? So first thing, like for example, you have an entity, right? In if you're familiar with HTML, you'll be easily be able to pick this up basically, right? So what it is, like here you have Egypt, right? And this is your environment, and then you have your model, like any other model that you need. Well, we're gonna build all of this out, but for now, let's just get started. So we're gonna go to our project. We're gonna go to glitch. If you don't have it, you just create an account. It's pretty simple. Make an account, and then so once you're in glitch, basically you're gonna search for A-frame. Okay. And we're gonna start with the very first one. Either this one or this one should be fine. So we're gonna click on that. Okay, so we're gonna start with the very simple example of an A-frame project. Okay, there we go. Okay. So as you can see, there's not much, right? But you can move around. You have these little 3D things and whatnot. You're gonna do is view source. And then you don't have to wait or anything, but you can just say remix project. Okay. Once you remix, you can create your own name saying E T Y P T. Okay. VR, right? So we're gonna create a virtual world. Okay. Now you can, once I've put the name, you may not be able to, but for now we got that, right? So pretty simple. Here, your index.html is where you're going to change any of the code, right? Anything that you make your changes here, like for example, color, right? Like you can actually put the color, what do you want to do? Like green, okay? So we'll do green. Boom. And you see how it changed to green, right? So for now, we'll do blue. Okay. Yeah, cool. That's not bad. For now, we'll leave it like that, right? You can walk around. So I'm pressing WASD to walk around and moving my mouse too. And you can actually see it in your browser as well. And then even if you go, let's say you have an Oculus headset or some sort of VR headset, and you just go in your browser in the headset, you click on this, you go to that URL, you'll be able to view it, and you hit the enter button, and then it's going to be in the VR world, right? All right, so let's get started. So first thing we're gonna do, I want to show how to learn, basically. We're gonna learn, and we're going to build it so you can do it other examples. So we're gonna start from, so they have something called A-frame school. This is what's called like a documentation. So here, where if you need to do something, you'll be able to understand it and everything. Oh yeah, right here. So on the docs, basically, right? Oh, you can just go here and remix but we did it ourselves, right? So you can remix. So every single website, right, runs on HTML. Okay, HTML is just the code that the browser, right, Chrome, Safari, etc., all the browsers, they look at this code and they render it. So for example, the browser, what it's doing is it looks at this code and then it renders it. It knows exactly what needs to be done. So it knows its color, all these different things, we'll learn how all this stuff works. But for now, just understanding how, like for example, this is a website, and as you can see, this is the same code. Like for example here, right here. See how we put the color blue, right? And if, for example, if we were to change it here, it also changes into the site. So yeah, oops, sorry. See how it changed the color? So that's basically how any and all the websites work. Not just VR, but you take anything, right? So that's how normally the browser and everything works. Okay, so but if you see, this is not saved. If you change it here, it's not saved on the project. So like if you refresh it, it goes back to blue. So this is like just checking it basically. So let's go back. We're gonna continue doing this. HTML. So in all the HTMLs, you have so every single HTML tag, right, needs an opening bracket and a closing bracket. So HTML, the entire site is on HTML, right? So you have an opening bracket basically and closing bracket. And in coding and JavaScript or any sort of thing, you have to be kind of mindful of like case sensitive and like all these little like slash and this is called a caret basically. So yeah, so that's basically what you need. So you
slashes are closing and the no slashes opening.
So like for example, a scene and then scene is closed, a box and then a box is closed, a sphere is closed, basically, right? So that's how it works. Okay. Now, so since we have our basic, and we take a look at our introduction of getting started on A-frame. So you can read more about this, and I don't want to go into too much. There's already a bunch of other YouTube videos and things like that. So what I want to do focus on is just kind of bare minimum get it going to see how we can make changes without actually knowing how to do certain things, right? Not have to worry about this. So let's go back. Let's go back to our Egypt scene, right? First we look at is this environment component. Okay, so what this is, we're gonna add an environment to our thing. We're gonna, and also here's what we'll do. We're going to remove everything. So that's to comment out, but we can actually just remove it completely. Okay, so all we really have, we have nothing right now, but so the way this works is basic scene, okay? Building a basic scene, you have the HTML. So this is where we are right now, starting with HTML. There's nothing there. We're calling A-frame. The script basically calls the code and to render it. Here, see, this is where we're at. Nothing, we don't have anything yet. Now we're going to build an A scene tag, right? So in the scene contains everything that's in your scene, like your entire VR world, basically. So we already have the A scene. Now what we need to do is we'll talk about entity component and all these different things later. First, let's just kind of create our scene first. So adding image thing. Best part about learning and all this is like there's lots of code examples and things like that you just search for. So for example, Marcus is the developer who like kind of the open system, he's like helping making it stuff, right? So here we are. So this is the A-frame component. I'll tell you how to kind of use this. So we see there's an idea about standing on top of giants, basically. So someone has already done the code and all that stuff for you. A lot of complex, I don't know how to do this, right? But I can use it and and change it according to how I need it or how our project needs it, right? So someone already created a bunch of these environments that we can just use. Um, and to,
Pyramids.
exactly. So yeah. So do you see how like this is so this is their component, right? So like for example, this is forest, right? So remember the code that we typed in, this one, a entity is basically like uh is where you store the component inside. I think, I'm not sure. I'll have to read I don't know the definition. It represents like an object or like something in the scene. So a scene is like within the scene that you know like a box could be an entity, a 3D model can be an entity. So we're here right now. There's nothing there. Here's what we'll do. First, we're gonna copy this environment component. We're gonna call it into our project inside our head. So any components we need is any A-frame component. We just kind of copy the script. We're calling it over, importing that component over. So once we import it in the header, basically in this head, any script will go here. So meaning any component, that's how you just copy paste it for now. And then we're gonna add an environment component to an entity. So this is what, so exactly this. So let's just kind of, yeah, right? So boom. So now, look at that. We got an empty environment. So we got a scene. We can still walk around and do a bunch of things, but for now, this is good. We got it to work basically. For our case, we want, as you can see here, this is an example of it. So like for example, we can pick a forest next time. We can pick, this is default. This is like some random, and Egypt. Look at that, Egypt, right? So this is what I use to create this scene basically, right? And as you can see here, how like I put an environment equals preset Egypt, right? So we'll do the same thing for our project here. So first, so then what does it say? Okay, environment, and then all we need to do is say equals to preset and the name of the preset, right? So let's do that. I'm gonna just kind of use it on this. Preset will be on anything that we specify, right? So basically, you see these are different presets he's setting. So like here, right? So I'll show you. So we're gonna say environment. Now we can use any other people can use it. Doesn't matter. Like it's not. It's we're grabbing it basically. So environment equals to preset. The name of the preset, right? What we want is Egypt. Okay. So basically said. Oh, we also have to do equals to. Don't forget. Don't forget the single quote. And then we have to write preset colon. And then we need to end it basically semicolon. I mean double quotes, right? And then boom, and there we go. We got an Egypt scene, right? So we can walk around, do a bunch of things.
Change the color.
Oh sure. Okay, so let's change the color. So now we want to change the color of the sky, maybe, right? So we're gonna go to our. Let's go back to A-frame. We just search for it. A-frame sky component or sky box or whatever, something. A sky. So that's similarly just like how we are scenes and things like that. We can have a sky. So we can actually color the sky. Okay. So here's what we can do. We can do that, and we add it to our scene. So I'm gonna comment. So by // it's a comment basically on the code, so it won't read it. So I'm just gonna say create. Actually, this is not // creating an environment. I'm pressing command for. Okay, so this is how you comment it, I guess. Yeah. forward, I mean a caret, an exclamation mark, dash dash, and then you have to end it as well. So here again, then I'm gonna write the sky color, right? I'm commenting it again.
How do you
Then,
press comment?
command and then forward slash. Okay. So so as you can see, this one it didn't change the sky color. Why? Because the environment itself has a specific color. So, like for example, I want this to, okay. So the reason it's not coming, right? It's not showing up is because the environment itself has already has
Sky color.
sky color. So what we need to do is change the sky color on the environment, and we can show you how to do that. So let's let's go back to our Aframe environment component. Okay. So here we are. So as you can see, so it also has parameters, right? So not only can we set the environment of Egypt, right? But now you want to change the color, right? Maybe we want to add more pyramids, basically, right? So let's go with the, so here it tells you how to do it. So see how it says preset forest and then it said comma, no, I'm sorry, not comma, semicolon, ground color equals to hash. Are you familiar with hash colors and stuff? Yeah, so let me explain it really quick. So color hex codes. Basically on a digital or an HTML or how the website or browser will.
Coded with numbers.
Yep. So it's coded with numbers. So for example, if it's this hex color, then it's like that. Like if it's red, it's this number basically. So that's why we have it. We'll change it. So for example, let's pick like something cool, like Egypt, but then like let's pick like a gold color or something, right? So we can just say, let's say like um gold hex, right? So this is number. I'll write it. I'll copy it over and I'll just color of the sky hex. Cool. So we don't need to do this here because we need to change it in the environment component, right? So let's go back. We're here. So environment equals a preset. So here it's they give you an example: forest, and then ground color that, and grid cross. So similarly, we need to do the sky color, right? Sky color is color or gradient. Okay. So here's what we can do. We're going to go back to our Egypt thing, and then here inside our this, so the entity, right? The entity itself, this is the caret basically. We have to do all of our environment preset or parameter inside of this entity basically. If you do it here, it's not going to work basically.
Why?
Because like that's how like the code is rendered, so it doesn't do it.
Oh yeah, it adds those.
Yeah, so you see how like closing bracket, caret basically. So that's just, so that on a JavaScript or like code basically, right? It has to be a specific format or a specific thing so the computer can render it, and you're able to change things around without everyone like changing things around or whatever. So there's like a way to do it, something, right? So we'll do that, and then we're gonna say here we're gonna do semicolon, so we can write another, and we can say sky color, right, equals to what we wanted is this number. Okay, yeah, I made a mistake, so I guess we have to put it inside of the double quotes, okay? So not only do we have to put it inside of the entity, but we also have to put it inside of the preset, basically. So we have to put it here. We'll put sky color equals to.
If we don't have a capital C, we changed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wouldn't work. So we can try that. So all right. And I think I don't need equals. I need this. Boom. Ah, okay. So nice. So that worked. Now we got to add the gold. Let's do something, right? I like. Let's check it out really quick. And we change our color to gold.
Black.
Black would be nice, right? Okay, so let's change that. So we're gonna. So we'll let's search our.
Black.
Let's do like a black, uh, black and green gradient. Okay, so gradient is basically um, the green. I'm sorry, not green. Blue. Nah.
That looks nice.
Which one?
Top row, middle.
This one?
Like you know how there's like in the ocean the
Mhm.
trees?
Yeah. I wonder how I can set
I don't know.
gradient X color. Yeah. So since it's Egypt, right? Let's check something. Let's do this. Let's do like this one. I think. Look, and then we're gonna change the. Remember this code? What is it? 428 CD4.
428
Uh-huh.
CD4.
428 CD4, right? That looks nice. That's not bad. It actually looks pretty good, right? Okay, let's change a few more things since we're here in the environment, right? Let's just make it a little bit better. Let's go back to our. We can change a lot of things, right? So we can not only we can change the horizon color, we can change the lighting. Let's change the ground, right? Let's change the ground. Um, 1 second.
Ground texture.
Mm-hmm.
There's ground texture.
Ground texture, checkerboard. Okay, perfect. So let's change. We can change a bunch of things. So let's do it again. Let's go back here. So we're gonna let me format this file. Oops, that was- So move that back. Okay. So now we're going to.
Would that come in entity if you change the ground texture?
Mm-hmm. Yes, since these are the parameters, you will just have to be inside of the entity and inside of the environment preset. So any parameters we have to just put it in there. So let's do. We're gonna do ground texture, right? Yeah. So let's do ground texture. Same thing. We're just gonna semicolon. Uh, After that, double quotes. Okay. And then this ground texture. Okay. So ground texture, and then we have to figure out what it says, right? So it says that if you look at the documentation, it says ground texture is none, but we could have these different values, right? We could have none, we can have checkerboard, we can have squares, and we can have Walker noise.
What's all
Yeah, let's try that. So let's try Walker noise, and then I'm gonna double quote it to close that, and let's check it out. Oh, I think this was already here. The Walker noise is that. So, but if we do like checkerboard, boom. So now we have checkerboard. I don't really like the. I think I like the Walker noise better, right? So let's. Yep. And let's make the color of the ground a little bit like more groundy color, right?
You put like sand, so like light orange.
Light orange. Okay.
Not light orange.
Mm-hmm.
Tannish, dark tan, like that. Yeah, that's literally exactly.
Okay. Okay, so the other part to this, I think what we have to add is there is no lighting in the scene. Okay, so another part, not this one, sorry. Yeah. You see how it's like very dark? There's no like nothing, right? So we'll change the environment a little bit later. Let's add lighting first, okay? So we would have to create another component or entity component basically. So let's see how we can do this. No. So like for example here, right? I'll show you. Because we want to create like the the entity, like there's a system. So like for example, each entity has its own sort of like creates its own object, or rather like keeps it contained, right? So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but like for example, you see this model, like the light would be a different entity itself.
Okay.
But we'll go into like I'll explain a little bit more on entity and how all that stuff works later. For now, let's just kind of see. So what we need to do, right, is actually have a lighting system, right? So the way we can do this, right, is like see how there's a we have the entity component, there's a light component. I'm probably not saying it right, but let's just say this is the element tag that we HTML tag we need, right? So um, we're gonna search. Let's search again. So A-frame light. Yeah, they have a lot of stuff. Yeah, and you can do once you understand like the basics of it, then we can do so many different things, right? You just have to change the environment or like the model or whatever, basically. Um, so here you go. So it says a light color, and intensity, and the position of it. I'll explain position and entity, and remind me to kind of go over that in like the next video or something. So for now, let's just do this, right? We're just gonna copy that, and then we're gonna bring it over to our scene. Boom! Oh, look at that!
Wait, how? You only lit up one though?
What do you mean?
Like you only lit up one pyramid.
Oh, yeah. So so now here's where it gets not complicated, but we can do something called debugging. Now we can like kind of start like go a little bit advanced. So here's what I'm going to do: Control Option I. Okay, but there's you'll show it. But so here's what happens, right? Remember how we change we inspect element and we change the color to blue to green, right? And we just change it there, and then we refreshed it and came back again. So similarly, we can debug our scene here, okay? Um, and then here we can go to our like, for example, so this is our entity. You see how this is now it's sort of like entity becomes uh, like you know, we can actually create a, we can like this is our whole scene, right? And we can go in and like we can like move around. I'm moving the mouse around. So like for example, this is the environment component. We don't need to worry about that. We just need entity of this. You see how it says here? I think it tells you here. This is the light component. I don't know if it tells you necessarily. Um, but do you see anywhere it says light? Oh, yeah, it's the light bulb. Okay. Oh yeah, it says right here light too. Okay. So here what we can do, right, is the component is there, light is there. So what we can actually do is like see, for example, we move it around. We can move the lighting around. Oh, oops, sorry. I messed up. I should refresh it. Go back to it.
If
Okay.
you didn't press that and you went back to see what it changed.
No, it won't change. So that's the good part of it. So in order to make a change, so Control Alt Option I. Okay. We go back to our scene. We go to our entity. Okay. Yeah. You see how like watch this. So it's supposed to like light here, right? Look. See if I'm changing. You see the lights are changing. If I move it up, down, etc. Right? So it doesn't like I feel like the light is just showing on this one pyramid, but that's not really what we want, right? Also the color of the light for some reason is green. I don't think we want that. Let's just yeah. So that's just white. Next color. Okay, the intensity, and then here's what we'll do. We'll just kind of go up. And then we're gonna make so we need this here, and we're gonna go all the way up. Like I don't want the light to be,
See over everything.
Yeah, exactly. So it has to be on top like this, basically. So now we go back. Yep, brightly lit scene because the light is all there on top, just like a sun would, basically, right? Um, and let's make it like to the side a little bit, just so that it's like, has a little more like a sun. Okay. So now, so here's the important part. Now what we have to do is copy it. Okay. Because we changed, you see all the position, all of this. It would be really hard, or not hard, but time consuming to change the numbers around to see where all this. So this is why they made this tool to inspector to kind of make our changes in using the mouse, and then what we could do is just copy it.
Control Command I.
Control Command I. Yep. Then go back to our scene. Let's see if we can paste it. I'm gonna change that. So look at that. It gave us all the stuff we need. Just like how how we changed manually, we changed the color of the environment, we changed the ground texture, right? The different parameters. Same thing, we'll do it for light. So you see how
pasted it into this,
Mhm.
and it showed
Yeah,
up.
let me go back again. Oh, did I close it? But let me do it again. So Control Alt I on a Mac. I think it's the same on Windows. I forgot what it is, but something similar. So go back here, right? I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna zoom out, right? I'll make sure I'm clicking on that, and then I'll just.
Do it for a position. I just want to see how you paste it.
Oh yeah. 1 second. So go like that. Like right, you see the positioning stuff thing here on the top right here. Copy, and then go back here, and then you paste it.
So Command B, that's it.
Yep. And so yeah, so like we change. See, it tells you the position basically. This is the important thing. The positions are X, Y, and Z. Okay. On a plane, on a 3D plane, you have like you have, let's say, like, yeah, see the map. This is your X-axis going that way, your Y-axis, and then Z-axis is forward and backwards, right? So X, Y, and Z. So this is what the numbers are. So here, well, we're just gonna like copy this over. Okay, let's check our scene. Boom. Now we have light. Right, looks good. Looks pretty good, right? What do you think?
Well, I thought it would be like really hard, like you'd have to type everything by yourself. I thought it would be like that.
Wasn't that bad, right?
Yeah, I like when I saw the video you sent me, I'm like, how is he doing this? He's just like typing everything, like just think of it. Yeah.
Alright, one more thing we'll do, okay? One last thing we're gonna do. Because what's the point of having an environment if we can't add like a 3D model or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I love the Sphinx.
Yeah, Sphinx, right? So here's I'll show you. So in this Sphinx basically, right? So here I added a Sphinx. So there's a thing called right here. So ID and then gltf model, okay? In a VR or WebXR, or like the browser, they accept a GLB file. Like how MP3, MP4 is a file format. So the models are a format of and the format is called .gltf or .glb. Those models will work in VR basically, right? Now, we're not 3D artists. We don't really know, or like we can't make it unless we have like our friend Raza who can help us or whatever, right? But let's say we don't have that skills to do it. So here's what we could do. We can download a GLTF model from the online. So what we can do is like, I have a Sketchfab account and like you can make it and etc. Basically, right? So these are like, for example, these are like my models that I did or have or whatever, basically, right?
We got transported.
Mm-hmm.
How did we do? Isn't that transport you gave us?
Yeah, we have like a whole VR thing basically for that.
Did you like? Can you create a 3D model and then print it out as like 2D? Like use that to make it or something?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that how it is?
So we can, like, for example, go to here, we go to Sketchfab, for example, downloadable, right? And then let's say we already did Sphinx, so let's try something else. Hmm? Well, okay, what? Give me an ideas for Egypt things. Pyramids?
There's already pyramids.
There's already
Like
pyramids.
camels.
Camels, alright, that's a good idea. Camels. Perfect. That's a good idea. Okay. So let's add a camel. For our experiment, we just need something. This is nice. A low poly cartoon ad. It's $8. Let's do a
You have to pay
search.
for everything.
What's that?
Is everything you have to pay for?
There are some that are free, so we should find something that is free for our. Okay, there you go. That doesn't look that good, but it's free.
The one on the left.
This one? I can download it, right? It's fine. Pink camel, I guess. It's not bad, I guess. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So we can either, like, this is just so that we're just for showing or whatnot, right? But so I downloaded it and it became a zip file, and here you go, gltf and bin, right? We may have to do one more thing, which is we have to convert it into a GLB form. So anyways, like if we take a look at it, so we got the model of it, right? It is GLTF, but it may not work because the scene.bin bin has a lot of information that it needs to a GLTF. So to properly work into this format, basically here, like for example, in Glitch, we can I added a GLB file because instead of two files, it's only one file. So in theory, we would need a GLB file. Let's just say that, right? So here's what we could do. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to our camel, both of these, we're gonna insert there, right? And it gives us an option to do a GLB file, right? So once we have a GLB file, we'll rename it, and then let's just name it to camel. So we got a camel.glb file. Now what we can do is go to our Egypt VR, and Glitch actually provides us with a storage system where you can have like images, files, whatever. So here we're gonna import that. So we uploaded so we took it from Sketchfab, downloaded it, converted it, right? And then here it gives us a CDN link, basically like a link basically that the code it's how like images and everything is linked. Exactly. Yep. So boom. So we got that, right? Now we go back here. Now let's kind of go back here into our Aframe gltf model, and it will tell us how we can implement it, right? It gives us an example. Like you see how it's saying we have our scene, we have our assets. So a 3D model, an image, something that we're going to put inside of our scene will be an asset. Let's just call it like an asset. That's like an asset meaning, you get it basically, right? Yeah. So here's how they're doing it. First, we make an asset HTML tag, and then we add the item, and we ID it camel, for example, right? And then source, this is where the hyperlink that we downloaded will be here. And then we're going to call the model here, and then we can do a bunch of stuff with it. But let's just go up till here. So let me just copy this part, go back here. So we added our, let me comment, now, adding the model, okay? And here we go. So we have our assets here. I think it's gonna break because we don't have a tree actually, right? So we don't really have a tree, but here's where we do have a camel. The camel is here. We're gonna copy that, go back here, and to the source, we're going to paste that in, and we're gonna copy and then it's basically this HTML like kind of like entity, but it's just like HTML tag, right? So we're gonna say source equals to camel here. Right, now let's check it out. Oh, what is that? Let's see. Hold on, let's take it a big way. Oh boy, what is this? Is a huge camel, bro. Alright, let's see, okay? Okay, let's zoom out all the way out. Oh my god, the camel is bigger than I've seen. Okay, so now so this is why we had you see how this source was here, right? What we could do, okay, now we can since we extracted out the ID, the model, now we can do things with the gltf model. So what we can do is we can scale it. So it's a scale by 1. I think 1 by 1 by 1. I forgot what I want. Good point. Good point. Let's check it out. Let's keep it. Let's gltf Aframe gltf model scale. Right. So we're gonna search for that, and then thanks. I didn't know that. Okay. Let me look at my this screen. Assets here. So okay, yeah, you see, yeah, you're right. It was 0.0.0, right? And then the position and then rotation, right? So let's go back here and then we'll do 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Let's see. Oh wow! Now we have a camel. All right. Okay.
A little smaller because that's a big pyramid.
That is big as a pyramid, huh? All right. Let's make it a little bit smaller. So the way this works, 1-to-1 scale. A 1 is a person, like a normal human being, and then everything is matched to that. So if it was 1 by 1, it would be like too big or whatever, right? So we can scale it. So now, let's
1.5.
Let's do like point. So it was 0.01, 0.2 maybe, 0.2, 2. Okay, actually, so let's do our thing again, basically. Our editor, Command Alt Option I. Okay, so this is where we're at, right? So this is what it kind of looks like, and every time we don't want the camera to move. Every time we're gonna be because the position is also 0. It's in the same position as the camera, so that's what's happening right now. So we go back, right? So we're gonna do Command Alt I again, right? And we have a gltf model. Let's scroll back a little bit, and let's just move the model around a little bit. So I don't want it to move up a little bit, but let's move it back to this way, and then we can also like turn it. So we can, as you can see here, there we go, right? And then we also want to move it, so we can move it from here. Let's move it a little bit further out like that. That's fine. Perfect. Okay. Now we have to copy that, okay? Remember to copy that. And then go back to our scene. And then let me just copy it, paste it here for a second, okay? So it actually gave us all of the thing that we need. So let me remove this. Since we're already calling it here, we don't necessarily need this, but this is a different way to do it if you want to. But for now, we're just gonna call it like that. I think so. This would be better. So camel. Oh, then we forgot the. It didn't do the position for some reason. You have to remember that. See how it didn't really copy the position. We want to copy the position. Okay. So it didn't do the position, but let's try again. Yeah, it didn't really do the position. We need to do the position. That's the biggest thing. Okay, go back here. And then we're going to position it and then rotate it see this little like that, like this circle will turn that way, this will turn that way, etc. Okay, so this is properly done now. If, for example, like it's didn't do it, but let's just, yeah, it does. For some reason, it's not copying the position.
So then how would you put the position in?
So let's say if it's not, we can manually put the position in, right? So here's what we can do. Let's say we want this position in. If for some reason we don't know, or like things are, so we go back to our here. Just like how we had this parameter things basically, and see how the scale is 0.222, right? So we just need to do position, which is here, right? So x, y, and z is y and z is 0. X is what we need to change. So we go back to our model here, right here, like this. And then we just and we're gonna say, what is it, -3. We can do -3, that's fine. 0, 0. Okay? And double quotes here. Move that. Alright, so that should do it, actually. So, oops, let me close that. Okay, let's take a look. See, now it's not, as soon as you, now it's on the left side, right? So if I were to do this, let's say -10, right? We'll move all the way to the right. So we want to see it like around here somewhere, basically, right? As soon as you see, you want to see it somewhere. So let's do something. So since this is the x-axis, we want to move it up, or rather z-axis, right? So let's do 10 here. Let's see what happens. It moved it back, actually. It moved it to that side. So let's do it -10. Whoops. All right, we're seeing it somewhere. And maybe we want to move it to -8. All right, yeah, there we go. That's not bad. I think it looks a little smaller.
Yeah.
Too big. How do we make this a little smaller than that?
Yeah, you're trying to make it 0.005.
Okay.
It was at 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
0,
5. 0.5. 0.5. Yeah. Little. Okay. Not. Yeah, I guess so. Right. A little bigger. We could do maybe like, let's do like 10.
10?
Let's see. Does it make us? What? Okay, I'm doing my math wrong actually.
I'm pretty sure it's 0.
Okay, you want the numbers to be negative or lower to make it bigger, I think.
No, because I'm pretty sure you were supposed to do 0.010, but you did 0.0010.
Oh, I see. See, this is why you're smarter than me. Nice. Now that looks like a great little camel. Wish you can go riding. Alright.
Now we could make some of the pyramids bigger because we don't want the camel. The camel is good size. The pyramids are a little small.
Mm-hmm.